Welcome back to another episode of Sports-Fixx. I am your host, Carson Becker, and we are back talking about week 2 of the college football season. We got a much better week than a lot of people probably thought. A couple of big upsets in the top 25, and a great top 25 matchup in Norman, Oklahoma. We'll start off with the AP top 25, how it changed. Not too many changes here. Ohio State at 1, Penn State at 2, LSU at 3, all stayed the same. Oregon jumped up 2 spots to 4. Miami 5 stayed the same. Georgia dropped 2 spots to 6 after beating Austin Peay by not enough for the AP poll. Texas stayed at 7. Notre Dame moved up 1 spot to 8. Illinois moved up 2 spots to 9. Florida State jumped up 4 spots to 10. South Carolina dropped 1 spot to 11. Clemson dropped 4 spots to 12 after not handling Troy how they should have. Oklahoma jumped up 5 spots to 13. Iowa State jumped up 2 spots to 14. Tennessee jumped up 7 spots to 15. Texas A&M jumped up 3 spots to 16. Ole Miss jumped up 3 spots to 17. USF goes from unranked to 18 after beating Florida in Gainesville. Number 19 is Alabama. They jumped up 2 spots. Utah is 20. They jumped up 5 spots. Texas Tech is 21. They jumped up 3 spots. Indiana jumped up 1 spot to 22. Michigan dropped 8 spots to 23. Auburn 24 and Missouri 25. Both Auburn and Missouri were not ranked last week, but are now in the top 25 there. So not too many crazy changes there in the AP top 25. For the most part, some teams dropped a little bit. Shouldn't hurt them too much if they continue to win, like Georgia, like South Carolina. If those teams continue to win, it won't hurt them. They'll be right back up into the top rankings that they want to be, top 10. So we had a lot of top teams winning big and not really playing anyone this week. Like Ohio State, Penn State, LSU really didn't play anybody. A lot of the top 25 teams didn't play anybody. But a notable game was the Troy versus Clemson game. Clemson opened up as 29.5-point favorites in this one, but found themselves down 16-0 in the first half. Lucky for Clemson fans, they held Troy scoreless in the second half. They scored 27 unanswered points to win 27-16 in this one, as Cade Klubnik throws for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did have an interception in this one, but they do get the win. As I said earlier, they did move down 4 spots after this. I mean, being down 16 to Troy at home, it's going to get you moved down a little bit in the AP poll. But, like I said, if they continue to win, they should have no problem being up in those top spots, up in the playoff there, maybe in the ACC championship if they continue to win like that. We then have Arizona State going to Mississippi State, and the cowbells were ringing all night. Mississippi State jumps out to a 17-0 lead, and you just know that stadium was going crazy. Beating a 12th ranked team in the country, 17-0 at home, cowbells ringing. But then Arizona State scores 20 unanswered points, and with a minute 38 left in the game, Mississippi State is down 3 with a chance to go down the field and win the game. A 58-yard touchdown pass lifts Mississippi State past Arizona State, and they get the ranked win under their belts. They take the win and the fine as the students rush the field and take the goalpost in this one. Down in Starkville, they are happy this week. Mississippi State has now started 2-0, which is how many wins they had last year, which a lot of people might not remember. They were not very good last year, especially not in the SEC. Or at any point in the season, they had 2 wins. So great way for them to start off this season, getting a ranked win and being 2-0 this season. Look for them to maybe be a little bit of an underdog in the SEC. We saw Vanderbilt be that underdog last year where they beat a couple teams that they probably shouldn't have in the SEC. Maybe Mississippi State is that team this year. Who knows? Maybe. Arizona State's QB Sam Leavitt only threw for 82 passing yards in this one and had 2 interceptions. Definitely played a huge part in the loss in that one down there in Starkville. They're going to have to bounce back next week and hope for a lot better of a game from their quarterback. The next game was another game that many people didn't expect to be very good. You had USF versus Florida. Florida was ranked 13th in the country. USF was coming off that ranked win versus Boise State. Boise State was 25th in the country last week. And USF was looking for another another great win down in Gainesville. They were looking for another ranked win in Gainesville. A slow, low-scoring game, a lot of field goals. We didn't have a touchdown in this one until 2 minutes left in the third quarter, which was by USF. They scored the first touchdown of this game. We jumped to the fourth quarter with Florida leading 16-15. USF has the ball, looking to go on a game-winning drive, and I'm always saying, if you let a bad team hang around long enough, they just might beat you. And USF does just that. They drive all the way down the field, and as time expires, they kick the game-winning field goal, and USF starts off their season 2-0 with 2 top 25 wins. And USF is looking like they might be an underdog team. They could be that Power 5 team that gets into the playoff there in the 12th ranked spot. Look for USF to maybe continue to make some noise. They do have to go play Miami. If they start off 3-0 and have 3 top 25 wins to start the season, this will be an absolute insane season for USF. Florida, on the other hand, maybe not looking at another great season this year. They play a very tough SEC schedule, and it's only going to get harder from here. If they continue to play like this, they will get absolutely stomped by a lot of the SEC teams that they have to play. So look for Florida to hopefully bounce back if you're a Florida fan. And I mean, I just don't know if they might not make it in the SEC if they continue to play like this. So the next game was Iowa versus Iowa State. Iowa State 16th in the country. Iowa unranked. A low-scoring defensive battle in this one, which is probably what Iowa wanted in this one. They love to thrive off their defense. Iowa's QB throws for 83 yards. Iowa State's Rocco Becht, their quarterback, only threw for 134 yards in this game. So not a whole lot of offense in this one. Both teams did run for over 100 yards, though. So maybe a lot more offense on the ground for both of these teams. Very back-and-forth game. We only had 2 touchdowns in this one as well. Both were coming in the second quarter for each team. And a 54-yard field goal by Iowa State's Kyle Conradi gives Iowa State the lead with under 2 minutes, and Iowa State sneaks away with a win at home. They beat Iowa 16-13, and Iowa State continues to win. Even the tough games, they continue to win. If they continue to do that, they could be in that Big 12 championship. Look for them to be in that Big 12 championship, and look for them to make some noise maybe in the playoff as well if they can continue to play like this. The next game is Baylor versus number 17 SMU. This was a great game. Went into double overtime in this one, and a very high-scoring affair in this one. The over-under was set at 65.5, so that number got absolutely blown out of the water. Baylor's QB Sawyer Robertson throws for 440 yards and 4 touchdowns in this one. Both teams combined for over 1,000 yards, total yards in this one. As I said, this one went into double overtime. Both teams scored a touchdown in the first overtime. The second overtime, Baylor stops SMU and then kicks a game-winning field goal, beating the 17th-ranked Mustangs 48-45 on the road. Great win for Baylor. A little bit of a tough game for SMU after going undefeated last year, being that ACC championship, losing to Clemson in that ACC championship, but still making the playoff. They're definitely going to have to bounce back from this one if they want to be back in the playoff. They did get dropped from the rankings this week, so they'll definitely have to get some wins next week and make sure they are winning games from here on out in the ACC and playing in that ACC championship if they want a chance at the playoff again. The next game we'll talk about is number 20 Ole Miss versus Kentucky in Lexington in Kentucky. A great early SEC matchup early in the season. Very back and forth game. We really saw a true SEC game in this one. Ole Miss's running back Kejuan Lacey runs for 138 yards and a touchdown in this one. Ole Miss wins 30-23. But bad news for people who bet Ole Miss to cover that 7.5. If you saw the Lane Kiffin interview, he apologized for allowing that field goal to go through. Kentucky kicks a field goal with 8 seconds left and forces Ole Miss to not cover that 7.5 points as they win 30-23. I mean, come on. I mean, with 8 seconds left, you're kicking a field goal. You basically realize you have no chance of winning. You might as well go for the touchdown there. I feel like they knew what they were doing in this one, and if you were part of that team that bet that spread, I'm sorry for you because you did not win this one. But anyway, Ole Miss wins 30-23, And now for the only ranked-on-ranked matchup of the weekend, number 15 Michigan versus number 18 Oklahoma in Norman. A great game all the way through. Tough environment for that freshman quarterback to go into. It got loud. Oklahoma jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead and held Michigan scoreless in the first half. Really great start for Oklahoma. Michigan would fight back in this one, making it a one-possession game late in the third, but it wasn't enough. Oklahoma wins this one 24-13 at home. The highly talented freshman, the guy every Michigan fan has been talking about all offseason, all into this season. After week 1, he was great. This week, not so great. He struggles in this one, only throwing for 142 yards and only completing 9 of his 24 passes. Very much a struggle in this one, but I think it's kind of like what we saw with the Arch Manning, where he goes into Ohio State Stadium, doesn't necessarily play well, comes back the next week. Played pretty well this past week through 4 touchdowns and 5 minutes of gameplay, which is, I think, nearly impossible to do. But, I mean, I think it's kind of just one of those things. He played in a tough environment. It was a night game. It was his first real big game of his career. So give him a little time if you're a Michigan fan. He'll probably bounce back if he's really as good as you guys think he is. One problem I would see as a Michigan fan is when he faced pressure, he completed 0 passes when he faced pressure. So that's a little worrisome for Michigan, but like I said, first big game of his career in college football, so give him a chance. He might bounce back and be really good. Oklahoma's defense was just overwhelming Michigan's offensive line in this one, and Oklahoma looks like they could make some big noise in the SEC. They're looking really good. John Mateer, their quarterback, ran for 2 touchdowns in this one and looked good as Oklahoma's QB. He could be a big problem this year. He led Oklahoma in rushing yards as well in this game. So look for him to be a problem. You're going to have to stop him if you want to stop Oklahoma. But they could be another great team in the ACC this year. So a lot of great games this past weekend. There will be even more football this coming weekend. So join me for the next episode later this week to see the preview of week 3 of the college football season. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.